This one, like, I feel like it could be England because, like,
do they have a manager yet?
This is their chance to get back at us for 1776.
Welcome back to Yanks Abroad. We have a very exciting pod on our hands with Mauricio Pochettino's first roster with the U.S. men's national team. Everything is official. He is officially our coach. He got his visa the other day. It's all wrapped and ready to go. Will, your thoughts on this first roster for the friendlies coming up?
It sucks to be a little disappointed because we have so many injured players. Like, this is not really a roster where I think we're going to learn a whole lot. I mean, obviously the goalie situation's a tough one, but no Richards, no Reyna. Tessman didn't make it for whatever reason. I think he's still kind of getting his legs under him at Lyon. Obviously, Serginho Dest is still injured as well. So, yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. But, you know.
I mean, you have even more than that. You have Carter Vickers.
Carter Vickers as well.
You have Tyler Adams, but we knew that.
Yeah, Adams and Dest we knew.
And then Caleb Wiley's also injured. So, like, essentially my first reaction to this was, wait, there's so many omissions. And then I remembered all the injuries. Yeah. And it's like, he didn't even really have to. He pretty much didn't have any decisions to make. No. It was the team that he could possibly pick.
I mean, again, like, I even think Miles Robinson, like, he did everything he could to not call up Miles Robinson. Like, that's what I was kind of reading is, like, him and Zach Steffen, I actually think he did one. I think that was like a
I think that was definitely a one because that's the only healthy grouping of players that we have at goalkeeper. Yeah.
But you don't need four goalkeepers.
No.
Horvath is a wasted spot.
You think so?
I think you know what you're getting with Horvath. Like, I don't think you need to see Horvath.
But again, this is what we talked about in the lead up to this is like everyone gets a fresh slate. I'm sure Poch hasn't watched a ton of Ethan Horvath in his days. Like, he wants to get eyes on these players in person for the first time. And it's like, while all these players are injured and we don't need to be making decisions of, do we bring another fullback because Dest is, but everyone fit the team. So it's like, all right, we have room for 4 goalkeepers this time. Let's give it a chance. But what do you think of the Steffen?
No, I think I get it. I think he wants to have a player who theoretically can play with the ball at his feet a little bit better than the rest of the group, which is in theory what you're getting with Zach Steffen. I think we know that Zach Steffen in theory is a little bit better than Zach Steffen, the player. I think we've seen that at Manchester City plenty. But, I mean, it's just crazy because you would think, and for a while, like, this was the position where the U.S., you kind of didn't have a lot of worries. Like, I think Tim Howard was always a little overrated, but he was serviceable. Like, even Brad Friedel, like, he made a name for himself in the Premier League. Like, we had goalies for years who were good enough.
Yes.
Now we have this country of 300 million people and we can't find somebody to use their hands. Like, that's
you
the crazy
hit
part.
Nail on the head. I was just about to say, we always had, like, with basketball and football, you always had good shot stoppers, athletic people, good with their hands. And then the feet, it was always like, and now with progressive football, it was like, we need someone who's not only good at saving, but good with their feet. And the fact that we don't even have someone good at saving is...
Well, the question is the progression of football to the point where you need a goalie who's supposed to be good with their feet actually hurting the development of goalkeepers in this country? Because potentially you're looking at players who are great athletes who became goalkeepers because they're such great athletes, but now are being asked to learn something that they necessarily don't want to or not good at, and then therefore are not progressing as goalkeepers. Correct. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but it does seem to be a little coincidental.
It's definitely an added thing, especially in this country, like only over the past 5 years where goalies work. I mean, it was essentially just save the ball and then either throw it or punt it or hoof it up the field. Like, no one was really playing that style of, at least here, because we were so behind.
I mean, I think like, just in terms of the squad, there are two obvious, like, people who maybe we thought would be there who are healthy, who are not, which is Luca De La Torre, who's been in every single squad.
Well, I saw that De La Torre might have picked up a nick.
Really?
Yes.
Because I didn't see anything about that.
Because I also thought similarly, so I did a little research. People are speculating that it could be because he's injured or could be because he was not selected. Like, it's not a super serious injury.
Sure.
So it kind of leaves it up in the air. But what about Slonina?
I just don't think Slonina is rated in this setup. I mean, I think it's...
we've seen it. Now he has 3 different managers.
Who have not selected
him. A fourth if you want to include the U23 by not playing him. So,
and I mean, that was a third. I wasn't even including Berhalter. I was including the U23 coach who didn't select him. Yeah, I mean, he is playing every week for Barnsley. So, like...
That's why I thought he had it. I mean, he wasn't playing before, so now he is.
I mean, I am surprised that he didn't, at least if he's going to bring 4 keepers, be one of them. Like, I would have preferred him over Horvath. I mean, I think Turner and Schulte are clearly the 1 and 2. I think that's kind of where we've gotten to. I'm not huge on Schulte as a player, but that's where we are. I mean, to me, the biggest inclusion that I'm excited about is Busio. I think he's had a great start to the year. Scored a goal in the past weeks. He's been great for Venezia, who are doing better than you'd expect for a promoted side.
Yep.
And, he had a great Olympics until he got hurt. So, I mean, I think Busio is putting himself in a position where he can become a real part of this team. And I don't know how much of Pochettino's press conference you saw today, but he basically said, this team, the players who are going to make this team are the people who are going to play further up the pitch or are going to work hard to get the ball back. We are going to win the ball back in the opponent's half of the pitch. That's how we're going to succeed. And so to me, that's Busio in a nutshell. He is a absolutely rapid, hardworking, box-to-box midfielder who is going to try and win as many duels as he can and recover the ball. And so I think for him, this is a big opportunity to cement himself alongside Musa in this midfield ahead of Weston McKennie.
100%. I think Weston... I mean, we talked, 3 weeks ago, and we were like, he could be screwed, and now he's getting a ton of minutes and actually playing well. So he's back. He's fully back in the fold there, which is amazing just in general. Do you think Tim Ream, similar to you saying Miles Robinson was a pick maybe out of necessity due to lack of options, because you had talked about how you think Tim Ream going to Charlotte essentially ended his U.S. men's national team career. Interestingly enough, he's playing a little bit of left back at Charlotte.
Really?
The only reason I know that is because my friend was the left center back. He got a spot taken, and now they're playing. I don't know if they're playing kind of like a 3, but on the lineup cards where it shows it, it has Ream at left back, which a player who's struggling with athleticism late in their career seems like an interesting decision.
Well, I mean, is he playing left back or they're playing a back 5 and he's playing left?
I haven't watched the games, but on the card it looks like they're playing a 4-back, which is super interesting.
Yeah, that is a bit odd. I don't watch any Charlotte FC. I mean, it's hard to say with any of the inclusions because it's like if Carter Vickers is healthy and Chris Richards is healthy, are either Ream or Robinson in this squad? Because those are the two positions, right? We're talking about a right center back and a left center back. Those are the two guys. So
I mean, that's the game we're going to be playing this entire podcast is like, what would this squad have looked like fully healthy,
right,
and who would have lost their spot? I think Tim Ream would have stayed. I think Trusty maybe gets dropped.
I mean, he was a part of that Celtic team that got thrashed at Dortmund yesterday. Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, I think Trusty's just like the edge player. I mean, Marlon Fossey is the obvious one who sticks out here who's not a part of the team. I was surprised Lund got called back up because I thought he was pretty atrocious. I think Pochettino, again, I think he's doing a full clean slate. I don't know if you saw in the press conference, he said he has not spoken to a single player
except he ran into
Anthony Robinson, which is very funny. So I think he's trying to give him a completely clean slate, and we're kind of short at left back because...
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Wiley's injured, and are you going to call up Tolkien?
No. I mean, I'm surprised that there are even, there's 3 MLS players in here? 4 MLS players. Yeah. I'm even surprised by that.
Yeah, again, maybe out of necessity. So... my next question to you is, what do you think the first starting 11 under Pochettino will be?
I don't know, man. I'm excited to see. I mean, I think it's going to be Turner. I think the first one, you got to go out and play what you think is your best 11. I don't think you experiment in the first match. Agreed. So right now, that's Turner, Scally.
Who's first? Sorry, in the friendlies.
I don't know.
Is it Panama?
I think it's Panama. I can tell you right now. Yeah, I mean, I think you got to go Scally, and then you're probably going. Are you going Ream and Robinson together? I
don't know. Maybe Mark McKenzie.
Yeah, deserves? Panama and then Mexico. McKenzie does deserve it. I would probably go McKenzie and Ream, and then Robinson at left back.
But following up, is it like you want to play your best 11, but do you want to play your best 11 against Mexico and really see what they're made of? Because you can't just play. Because he wants to get a look at
Panama did beat us.
That's fair.
We owe Panama some big revenge.
That's a really fair point. Okay, so you're going with that back 4.
I'm going with that back 4. Scally, McKenzie, Ream, Anthony Robinson. And then I'm going Cardoso. Ugh. It just has to be.
Probably.
Cardoso. I'm probably going Cardoso, Musa, Tillman. And then, and then Pulisic, Balogun, Weah.
One thing I'm really excited is Tillman's the only 10 included. I mean, Brendan Aronson, I guess you could say maybe, but with no Gio, you can pretty much confirm. I mean, just based off of his form in general and the selection, you can pretty much confirm Malik is going to be playing the number.
Sure,
10,
he's been playing some winger for PSV as well. Yeah, I think you'll see him and Pulisic as the 2 wingers at some point as well under Pochettino. I mean, Pochettino basically said he's going to play a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, which I think are kind of the same way. It's just an in a possession, out of possession situation. I mean, I think it's going to be tough for Reyna, man. I think it's going to be real tough for him to get back into the squad.
Really?
I just think once Tillman... he's not playing at Dortmund, so he's going to come in without match fitness. He's playing a few minutes here or there. Yeah. Dortmund are playing really well without him. And I think Tillman is just really rising fast. Like, he looked so mature in the Lisbon game yesterday I was watching. I mean, he just was, I mean, he stood out on that pitch as probably the best or second best player. Him and Schutten were both incredible for PSV. They dominated the game. They were unlucky not to win it.
Yeah.
And I think Tillman just fits Pochettino's system really well. And Reyna's not good off the ball. Like, I just don't think he's great off the ball. And I think that's going to cost him in the system.
Yeah, I think there's a world where he plays. I pretty much agree with the lineup. I think there's a world where he doesn't play Johnny Cardoso just to get like a soup. Cardoso moves well, I think, for his size, but I think there's a world where he plays like a really athletic,
like Musa at the 6.
Musa at the 6 with Buzio or something along those lines. But yeah, as we said, there's not much flexibility to be had with this setup and then the lineup that'll come from it. I think the more interesting discussion that he kind of answered in the press conference is like, how is he going to go out and play? Because this setup has never played the way Pochettino wants them to play.
Right.
So is it right away we go play how we're going to play, or is it kind of like a overtime change? Because it could be, once again, as we talked about with the Chelsea thing, like it took some time for them to understand fully how he plays, and they looked poor to start because he was still drilling the system into it. Does it really matter if we look poor to start? Is it worth gradually changing it over, or is it just you throw them into the fire and see how they react?
No, for sure. I mean, I agree. I think it's one of those where it's like you kind of just have to go all out for it.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be like, day one, this is how we're going to play, and it's okay if we get thrashed in these two friendlies as long as you're playing the way I want to play.
Right.
Because that's how these players are going to make their mark and get their foot in the door as in this team, right? Is like completely forgetting everything Berhalter told them and playing a new system. But, you know, when you're playing an international team, you're already playing a different system than you're used to playing most weeks. So I think these guys will adjust fast and learn fast. And I think it offers an opportunity for players like Josh Sargent, who work really hard off the ball. Players like Aiden Morris, who work really hard off the ball, who were not involved in Berhalter's side because they couldn't make an impact. And that I actually think that's why Luca De La Torre didn't get included. I don't think he is great out of possession. I don't think he offers a whole lot when he doesn't have the ball at his feet. And that's just not how it's going to work for Pochettino.
Any of the young guys you upset that like didn't get included?
Testament to me, I'm a little surprised. I mean, I've watched the 2 matches this week that he played for Lyon, and I wasn't overly impressed. I think he's still kind of getting his footing, and I don't think he's really hit top gear, but I would like him to be included. I think he works perfectly in this system. He can also drop in between the 2 center backs and build up.
It's pretty shocking that with no Tyler Adams, he doesn't
that speaks volumes.
That's a little worrying, honestly.
I mean,
unless he's just not as good as we maybe had thought. I mean, it's early. He's in a new setup, and he was obviously at the Olympics, so it's taking him some time. But I think he was a sub in every match since he was there, and then started the most recent one.
Yeah.
So they're getting him.
As
much as possible.
They plan to use him clearly. I mean, he got signed the next day. He played like 3 minutes, and he played like 20 minutes, and he played like 35 minutes, and then he started. So I mean, the plan is for him to be the 6, and I think take over for, I believe Matic was the 6. Prior, who's 38 years old. I mean, I think this also means Pochettino probably sees either Musa or Buzio as a 6. Which I think is, to me, as surprising as not including Testament is, how much does Pochettino know of these players, right? Like,
I think very little.
That's
honestly.
what it feels like.
Very, very little. I think it's such a reach, but like part of the reason is like when he's like, I haven't reached out to any players. I ran into Anthony by accident. It's like, what would he call and talk? Like, he probably doesn't know where half these players play, what they play like. So like, what is that phone call? What does that conversation even look like if he doesn't know, like Austin Trusty just played against like tough loss yesterday. He probably doesn't even know. So I think the number one thing to look at is the effort, because we saw the effort that was put in by this squad last international break, and it was almost disgusting. But it's like, with that coach, knowing it was essentially meaningless, it didn't matter that much. But like, there better be a change of mentality when it comes to watching. This team should, effort-wise, look completely different than we've ever seen them. And if it doesn't, that's when I think we get very, very concerned. Results-wise, I agree. If we lose, win, again, doesn't matter that much. Would like to see us just start getting into a winning habits and winning behavior. But if we look very lazy again, I think like alarm bells really start ringing.
100%. I mean, that would be shocking. Like, I don't think these friendlies are going to look like normal friendlies. Like, these guys are playing for their
100%.
like everything. And if anything, that should give us a leg up against Panama or Mexico, where like they are friendlies for them and they don't mean anything. Like, these friendlies mean a lot. And then we do have competitive matches coming in November. We have 2 Nations League matches coming. So, I mean, it's a big next 2 months, and then they'll have a little break until, I don't think the next break's until like March.
Okay.
So, you know, if you don't impress now to get in the November squad, in March is almost a year from the World Cup. So, like, it start to, like, really start getting, you know, tight. So, there's a lot to do in the next 6 weeks here for Pochettino. And I expect after these 2 matches for him to be traveling and watching a lot of games in person of these players and being all over of Europe.
So, we heard what he said press conference-wise, and this is a very open-ended question that you don't know, but I'm just curious to get your thoughts. How much do you think, like, Pochettino really, really cares about this job? Like, he didn't have a job previously. He's getting paid. It's America. He's hosting the World Cup. Like, it could just be a very nice life. How much do you think he truly cares? For someone who played at the highest level and coached at the highest level.
I think one of the good parts about signing a Pochettino instead of a Klopp, and obviously Klopp would have been the premier signing, but the good news for Pochettino is he still has a lot to prove as a manager. Has not won any major trophies. We're not counting the Ligue 1 title as a major trophy on this podcast. He has not won anything super competitive before, right? Is he going to win anything with the U.S. men's national team? That would be shocking. Right. But is he going to get us to a quarterfinal or a semifinal of a World Cup or of a Copa America, get us to a semifinal? That's a huge step. Like, that would be a huge accomplishment for him. I mean, that is the equivalent of getting Tottenham to a Champions League final. Like, that is seen as an accomplishment. Although it's not a trophy, it's a massive accomplishment, something that is completely unexpected. So he's trying to, you know, do that again. He never did that with Chelsea. He never really did that with PSG. He didn't get them that far, right? I mean, was he there when they lost in the final to Bayern? Is that him?
He was the furthest he got was semifinal.
Right, that's what I thought. So it's like, and even with PSG, like, winning was the accomplishment. It was not making a final, right? So it's a little bit of a different bar for him than he's used to, but it's something that he needs to do. I mean, he comes in and we don't make it out of the group stage at the U.S. World Cup. Like, his premier coaching career could be over.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think his next job is going to be a massive club. He'd have to kind of take a step back and then work his way back through. So I think this is a massive opportunity for Pochettino and a chance to grow the game, which, you know, if you love the game as much as Pochettino seems to love the game, like, this is a huge opportunity for him as a person as well as a manager.
Definitely. I mean, I was just again, this is very different. Football in Alabama and soccer in the United States are 2 wildly different things. But, like, the way they idolize Saban is just something I could so see if he came here and really, like, took the job as seriously as we all want him to. And I'm not doubting that he will. I was just curious what you think. But I think he could be, like, truly a cult hero here.
I mean, he could stay. I could see him staying 6 years, right, through 2 World Cup cycles.
Yeah.
Like, that's, you know, he basically needs to make it to at least the round of 16, get out of the group stage this time, and then make it to a semifinal the next time or further. Like, that I could see as a realistic, this is a 6-year plan. We're going to work our way there. Obviously, we would have liked to have started this in 2020 with the 6-year goal of 2026 being the peak. But,
definitely,
you know, he does that for 6 years, 2 World Cup cycles. Then he, you know, gets another great big job. I don't think it's like, unless he does something spectacular at this World Cup, I don't think that's opening any massive doors for him immediately. So I think he's in this for at least a World Cup and a Copa, maybe 2 World Cups. And we go from there. I mean, he's making a nice payday as well, so it's not so bad.
That's why, because, like, we see all these players out of their prime come to the U.S., get paid a little, and live their life. It could just be something like that, but I hope it's not. And he's inheriting a U.S. men's national team camp that seems to be in pretty good form right now overall. So I think that is good for him. I mean, this is the best Pulisic has ever played in his career right now, potentially.
I mean, he's been great. I mean, and he should have had an assist yesterday from Milan, and Reindeer just didn't get the ball out from under his feet. Reinders, that's what I thought. Reinders just didn't get the ball out from under his feet. I was like, that can't be right. Pulisic's in incredible form, and Milan are playing terribly. I mean, a lot of these players, just as they were going into Copa, are in some of the best form of their lives. They're hitting their peaks. Like, I hate to say it, but, like, this generation, like, this is their World Cup. Like 2030 is going to be a very different team. Like maybe Pulisic's still in it, maybe Balogun is still in it, maybe Way is still in it. Those are kind of the younger guys. Musa would be like 27 at the next one, Cardoso. But like if you're McKennie, if you're even like Chris Richards, like maybe 28 at the next World Cup, 29 at the next World Cup. Like that's.
I feel like as much as we want it to be now, like the more we talk about it, I feel like we want it to be now because it's here.
Right.
If it wasn't here, I feel like we'd be like
2030.
Let's do well, and like 2030, we're gonna have this young crew that'll be like 23.
And theoretically,
24.
Kevin Sullivan will be like 20 years
and
old.
Like our main team will be like 28, 29, which is kind of what you want, you know. But
right, with a couple of young
guys. The reality is it got pushed up because we're hosting it, and that is just the reality that we all need to accept and.
But it's also like had we started this project.
Right.
Post the last World Cup,
the Berhalter thing,
right.
we'd be in a much better position.
If post the last World Cup when it was clear Berhalter was not the right coach to lead us forward, we would feel like, okay, maybe 2026 isn't the one we're going to make a semifinal, but we can make a quarterfinal, win a knockout game, like be at home, and then you get to a quarterfinal and you have the crowd behind you, anything's possible. Whereas we kind of feel like let's make it to the knockouts, maybe we'll get one win in the knockouts, which is it's not disappointing, but we only get 4 games at our own World Cup. That's not like super exciting.
Yeah.
Although they changed the format, and I don't know how many games we get automatically.
Do you think because I imagine the media will as a whole, would you have a reaction or overreact if we didn't win either of these matches? How would that?
Don't care about results.
You don't care at all.
Why would I care about results? I'd rather lose and watch a different type of football than win and look shitty.
My feeling is I know we are coming into it is going to be a completely new setup. Pochettino's going to be asking a ton of these players, a ton of injuries. But like in the back of my head, it's still like, and again, it is brand new, but we're playing teams that we should beat just off of talent alone.
We should have beat New Zealand.
Right. That too. And it's like with the new coach, it's like at what point as they are friendlies, at what point is it like we got to start winning games against bad teams? Like Mexico is not good, and Panama is not good.
I mean, Mexico we've been owning recently. Panama, we owe them some payback. I mean, I think these players are going to work hard. I'm not too worried about the results because they don't matter. But I mean,
Do you think others will overreact then?
Yeah, but that's what they're literally getting paid to overreact.
Right.
Like that's why people are watching this and not like Fox Sports pregame show. Like.
What's Alexi Lawless's?
Alexi Lawless is going to say, if we don't win both of these games, then Pochettino may be seen as a bad hire. Like, this is crazy. First of all, we're missing 5 starters. 5 starters. Like, so that's
one in the most important. Chris Richards is a need.
Literally, other than Pulisic, is probably the most important player in the starting 11.
Yeah.
Dest is also incredibly important. True. I mean, Tyler Adams is our starting 6.
Used to life without Dest. It's been so long. When is he coming back?
I mean, they hope he'll start training in January.
At some point, I need him playing football if he's going to be the starting.
Well, that's what we were talking about, before once they fired Berhalter and what the team's going to look like. It's like, if Dest isn't ready to play by the March international break, then we're getting close.
Right.
Like, we're getting very close to the World Cup for a guy who's never played under this manager. Obviously, he's too important not to, but I think Tyler Adams, there's a serious concern that he won't be in the World Cup squad.
And my final thing is I'm officially putting Anthony Robinson on, I don't know if you want to call it fraud watch or just red alert. If he does
For the U.S., you're saying?
Yes. He's obviously, we've talked about it extensively.
He's so good for Fulham.
I'm officially putting him on red alert. If he cannot perform in the Pochettino system, which is literally handcrafted for a player like him, I'm officially ready to start moving on to other options to start at that World Cup. Though we don't have any other options.
Here's the thing: he may in January end up being at Manchester United or Chelsea, which only raises his profile.
No shot.
So
I don't think you think he'll get a winter move.
Man, I don't. Fulham may want to cash in at some point. He's 26. He'll be 27 at the end of the year, and then you're talking about a guy who relies on pace. Like, if you're Fulham, and you're in 8th, what are they in 4th right now, 5th right now, or something like that? So, it's 6th, whatever they're in. If you're in 8th in January, you're not going down. You're probably not getting a European spot.
But,
by the way, I know that we're not talking about the Premier League, but I told you Smith Rowe was going to go dummy for them. He's been so good. I'm just telling you, he is one of the most class footballers in the league when he's healthy. It's just unbelievable to watch him. I'm very excited.
You could use a creative attacker right now.
Here we go. Let's not. Let's just not. Let's just not.
We don't have to. But if you're in 7th, 8th place, it's like, do we go for the dream of like getting European?
But
football?
then you're still
West
selling
Ham
him.
won a conference
But you're
league,
probably
like
selling him
win
in the
a
summer anyway for less, because you get more in January. You do get more in January.
If he's one of the best players on a Fulham team that overachieved to the max and he was a big part of it, you don't think?
You just do get more from players in January, especially in the same league. And like Chelsea, if they're like fighting, Chelsea is probably going to be fighting for fourth. Like Cucurella's kind of still ass, and he refuses to play Chilwell. Like I could see Anthony Robinson going for 40 million euros. Like that's a huge deal for Fulham. Anyway, we got sidetracked here, but yes, I agree. Anthony Robinson needs to show it for the U.S. men's national team. He had a bad summer. He was terrible in the 2 games under whatever his name is.
Yeah, I'm also on the opposite side. I'm curious to see how Scally looks, because this on the opposite side does not fit him entirely. Where Pochettino had Hakimi, Kyle Walker, like.
Yeah.
You know,
no, I mean,
Scally's not blistering in pace. So I'm curious to see how he'll perform. I think overall it's just exciting. It's a fresh new age of U.S. men's national team. That's the only reason I say, like, it would be great to just win one. Just like get on.
No, I mean, obviously the goal is to win them, but like, I'm not going to worry if we lose both. I'm not in November, then you can be like, these are actually competitive matches. Right. They mean something. You should really try and win them. Like, I think he's going to be doing some experimenting. I mean, I don't think he'll necessarily experiment with the first starting 11 or whatever too much, but I think he will be doing some experimenting on the pitch. You might see, like, you know, a Tillman playing either a little deeper, a Tillman playing a little wider, like seeing where he wants to play this player. And also, like, the players themselves are learning new responsibilities that they may not do in their club teams. Like, Musa playing as a lone 6 in Pochettino's system is a completely different responsibility than what he does for AC Milan.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's overall very exciting. You have anything else on this game? But I wish there was more to touch on. With half the squad being injured, it kind of writes itself. For sure.
Well, the good news is we got a lot coming for you during the international break. We're going to be teaming up with Bleacher Report to do 4 different pieces of content that'll be coming to you. You can either watch them in the Bleacher Report app or watch them on the YouTube channel where you are right now. We're going to be doing the young players to watch under Pochettino, 2 post-game reactions, and then the U.S. men's national team best starting 11 for the November international break. And the channel is going to be focusing strictly on the U.S. men's national team moving forward. Every single Monday, we're going to be coming to you with recap of all the Americans playing abroad in Europe, 3 specific performances that we are going to break down in extreme detail, what we liked, what we didn't like, what you'll see them do for the U.S. men's national team that you're seeing them do for their clubs, and of course, power rankings of the best Americans playing in Europe. Very excited to be kind of really honing in on the U.S. men's national team as we gear up for the World Cup in what is now just 19 months away. So,
wow.
Exciting time.
I had not heard that out loud. 19 months, like
20 months.
That feels way closer than I originally.
That's what I'm saying. Like, these 2 international breaks, like, I think if you don't show up, like, you may be out for March, and then if you're out for March,
until you said that when you were like, Gio could have, but like, you're kind of right. We're getting close.
Like, I think usually what you see with like these, you know, lead up to the World Cup, and they call them these cycles, is like the first 2 years you're spending figuring out your team, like who's going to make it, and in the next 2 years you're figuring out the best 11.
You want to know why I feel like it's because Euros and Copa just felt so massive that like it almost in my head was like a World Cup. Like, we don't have another for 4 years.
Yeah.
It's 2. Yeah. Wow. That just like hit me, and that's exciting. I hope we're good so badly.
It would just be nice to be better. I can't wait to see the odds makers. They're going to put the U.S. at such a better, like a lower number than they should be at because people will bet it. Like, they're going to have the U.S. as like the 8th favorite.
Who do you think is going to win the 2026 World Cup?
I mean, Spain are so good. Yamal is insane.
Like, actually insane.
It feels like it's going to be Spain or England. This one, like, I feel like it could be England because, like...
Do they have a manager yet?
This is their chance to get back at us for 1776. This is their one chance.
Do they have a manager yet?
Well, I think Lee Carsley is going to be the manager.
Officially?
It's not official, but from what I've been told, it's looking like that.
From your source?
A couple guys, yeah. I got a couple sources. I mean, it's not like this is not news. Like, I'm not breaking news here. It's mostly been reported. I know
he was just caretaker to begin with the chance.
I think it's one more international break. If they played as well as they did, then it's going to be him.
But they're always going to play well. They're just so
well, that's the issue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what are the other options? They could keep him interim until 25 and then see if Pep leaves.
I don't know the other options.
Well, I think the idea was keep him as interim as long as he'll stay interim, and then maybe Pep actually does leave City.
Well, I think Pep will leave.
They're getting relegated.
He's now confirmed another Premier League title. So at this point, like, what is he gonna? Does he need to win 7th?
He's not gonna win this year.
No. Really? Okay.
You know that already.
I do.
Yeah, I told you that already.
I thought the performances said otherwise.
We have the same amount of points.
I understand.
And they've played us at home already, so advantage us.
Advantage you.
And Rodri's out for the season, so advantage us.
Yeah, if you don't get him this year.
We got nobody let us have any excuses when Saliba went out. Nobody let us have any excuses.
You didn't lose Saliba for the entire year.
We lost him for the last 14 matches. That's pretty massive.
That's pretty massive.
And it's not like they don't have 6 other fucking midfielders they spent 80 million pounds on.
Oh, here we go.
I'm just saying, like, City don't get an excuse for one player missing. I don't care if it's Haaland. I don't care if it's Rodri.
He's the most important player.
Oh, so is Saliba. Where? Boo-hoo. Boo fucking
I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying if you can't do it. No, because
this is what you're going to do when Arsenal win the league. This is what you're going to do.
No, it's a win-win now because if you win,
no, exactly.
Like it's because Rodri.
Obviously. So, like,
if you lose, it's like,
it's not even fun.
You couldn't win without Rodri.
It's not even fun. You see the issue, right? Like, it's not even fun to talk.
And by the way, you better get it this year because Ange's men are coming.
Come on.
And they're coming quickly.
Yeah, you hope they're coming. All right. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be back next week with a breakdown of Americans abroad. And then obviously all the stuff I talked about with the international break. Going to be a big one. Pochettino's first camp. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for all the content coming your way.